Hello, and welcome to this program presented by the Chambers County Library System. Welcome as well to Montage, the digitized historical archives. This database is a collaboration between the Chambers County Library System and the Chambers County Historical Commission. It contains archival materials, photographs of physical objects, oral history recordings, and video recordings of items in the collections of the Chambers County Historical Museum, the Chambers County Museum at Wallaceville Heritage Park, a few items from the former Barbers Hill Museum, and the Chambers County Library System archives. Today's look will show you how to navigate through Montage, and with any luck, will hook you on learning about some of the fascinating things in Chambers County history. Montage is integrated into the library's webpage, located at chambers.lib.tx.us, and that's where we begin. The second tab on the left, Collections, brings the searcher, will lead you to some of the materials special to the library system. The bottom tab, Yearbooks, for example, brings the searcher to the high school yearbooks for the county schools over the decades. However, it is the local history and then the digital collections that will lead directly to Montage. Once at the Montage site, use the search box as you would any site to locate items of interest. Back in the 1970s, the state of Texas conducted a cultural resources inventory. In our county, photographs of significant architectural buildings of interest were taken, and detailed forms were created to log these items. A search for dwellings will bring you to the hits page. And from there, you can scroll through each listing to see the photos and read the descriptions of the owners, builders, architects, the style of architecture, and the significance of the structure. Some commercial buildings were also recorded in the inventory. Many of those are located in the entry Business and Chambers of Commerce. We're going to return to the Chambers Library webpage main site. An alternate way to access the Montage database is to do a search on the library's main page. If you enter Chambersia or Chambersia, for example, you will get hits from several files in Montage. They are usually listed in the library's database as article. Clicking on a topic will open up the Montage database. The difference here is that you will get not only items from Montage, but books from the library's collection, e-books accessible through their online services, and other items that are in other databases, such as the digitized copies of Wallaceville Age, which is a reprinted series of actual newspaper articles from the 1800s and early 1900s. Daniel H. McGarry, who is the original publisher of The Age, has a separate entry of his own in Montage. Now that we have some basic information on accessing these records, let's take a look inside some of these files. We're going to go back to collections, to local history. Those of you who recognize the Chambers House, this photo is from before they did renovations to the structure in the late 1930s. Digital collections. The area that eventually became Chambers County has been of historical significance for several hundred years. Its location on the Trinity, which feeds into Galveston Bay, made it an excellent site for Native Americans, early explorers, and missionaries, the Mexican government, and finally, immigrants to Texas from the United States. One of the earliest attempts to settle in the area, not counting the indigenous people, of course, was El Orcoquizac, which included the Presidio San Agustín de Ahumada and the Misión Nuestra Señora de la Luz. If you enter El Orcoquizac in the Montage search box, you get two entries of particular interest. One is churches, Nuestra Señora de la Luz, Our Lady of Light Catholic Church. This is an entry for both the original mission and for its descendant, the current Our Lady of Light Catholic Church located in Anahuac. Opening this file, and that is merely done by clicking on it, on the left, you will see all the separate files that have been loaded under this entry. The middle window shows a viewing screen. It will give details of how many pages are in this particular file, and you can scroll through to look at the individual pages. The window on the right provides a narrative description about the different files in the entry, along with some of the subject headings that provide additional access in the search screens. The middle window is the active window. You can use the scroll bar to go to each page. Or the arrows at the top to quickly move through. Or if you want to jump to a specific page, just put a page number in the title box and hit enter. You can also adjust the size of the image with the minus and plus or the automatic zoom. It is probably better to use the little arrow on the left to open the file into a newer, larger window. It has a toolbar at the top for the usual print, download, and zoom. There is a drop-down box, the arrow at the far right, that has a few more options. When you're finished, use the back arrow up here at the right, top left, to get to the original file. As noted, this particular entry covers the original mission from the 1700s to the current church. Selecting the different files on the left will give you information about the ongoing history of Catholic services held in the area. After the mission was disbanded, even though the area was part of Mexico and was nominally Catholic. Priests and churches were few and far between. Anyone wishing to attend a Mass in this area had to travel to Liberty. After the 1900s, there were enough local people to justify having a priest visit, rather than having everyone head north. For example, services were held in the Hotel Anahuac in the 1930s, prior to holding services in property owned by the church. We're going to return now to the search results. And we're back here. Our other entry, which you can reach by clicking on search results at the top left, can then be selected. This particular entry is quite large. Many efforts have been made through the years to pinpoint the exact site of the original mission. It was finally located, and a historical marker describes the mission, but the marker is located at the Chambers County Museum at Wallaceville rather than on the original site, which is all but inaccessible today. One thing of note is the red block. This happens occasionally, and I've left it here to show that technology is great when it works. But when it doesn't, this is what happens. This particular file has lost its location, so it will need to be reloaded. If, in your wanderings through the system, you happen across one of these, please let the library know what the entry is in so we can fix it. Now we're going back to home. And let's go back to Chambersia, final home of General Thomas Jefferson Chambers, for whom our county is named. The hit page provides us with 12 different entries in which Chambersia is mentioned, and some of them seem puzzling until you look at the narratives for those listings. The listing for education, Barbers Hill Junior Historian Organization, for example, is one of those. Placing the mouse on the bottom of that square brings up the narrative, and you can see that the group did an archaeological dig. Clicking on that entry will bring you the full narrative. The dig was at the Chambers home, and photos accompany the narrative. In order to get more information on the home, let's backtrack and take a photo tour. Just a quick run through the photos of the interior, but you can come back to get a look later. Here we are in August, and what better time than to look at hurricanes and local disasters. Storms weren't named back in the day, but they were just as destructive. Reading about storms from 1915 or 1854 allows you to be grateful for the advance warnings and emergency personnel that we have available today. While I'm here, I want to give a shout out to Chuck Chandler of the Baytown Historical Society. He has been doing a series of articles for some months in the Baytown Sun. And when his research touches on Chambers County, particularly the Cedar Bayou area, I add that information to our database. You can find his name from the search box to see articles on sawmills, brickyards, hurricanes, and our Texas poet, John Scholander. Chandler is one of the area's history gems for those of us trying to share this work. The east side of the county did not have significant development until late in the 19th century, when the railroad came to Winnie Stowell. Grand plans anticipated routes down to Galveston and points north, and as a result, communities developed and have remained busy ever since. Information on the railroad can be found in the file Communities, East Side. Oop, my bad. For example, here's a photo of the railroad depot as it is today. You can also find information on the railroad in our file on transportation. As you can see from that entry, it covers everything from boats to cars to airplanes and from bridges to ferries to roads. Once things settle down, it is likely that this file will get a little separation into smaller groups, but the information on all of this infrastructure is quite fun to read. The west side of the county had significant settlement early on, thanks to the Trinity River. Sawmills, brickyards, and boat building were added to the ranching of the early days, but it was the salt dome at Barber's Hill and the oil drilling in the area that really brought this part of the county to the forefront in the early days of the 20th century. The name Barber's Hill has been retained in a variety of ways, such as the school system, but the name of the town is now Mont Belvieu and is the hub for the surrounding communities of Cove, Old River Winfrey, and Cedar Bayou. Typing in the term petroleum brings up 3 quick hits, all very colorful in their own way. All of the currently existing communities can be easily found by entering their names in the search boxes. Chambers County had many former small communities with post offices, general stores, and the like, and they can be located in the heading Communities Former. Several of them, like Graydon, have historical markers at their sites. Most of the narratives in this file were once housed at the museum, and it is interesting to read about the little settlements, where they were, how they eventually passed their status on to the bigger communities in the area as transportation improved and schools consolidated. By the way, did you know there are over 30 historical markers in the county? Typing in historical marker in the search box will lead you to information about them. If you're interested in cemeteries, we have listings of many in the county, and quite a few entries have the names of those listed there. As you can see, there is a generic heading for cemeteries, which includes smaller cemeteries for which we have very little information. Then we have cemeteries which have their own locations and their listings of the people there. Then we also have cemeteries which may be included in family files. such as Carmen or Bush. The Historical Commission members have spent many hours visiting older residents of the county to record their impressions and memories of the decades of their lives. We haven't got all of those recordings in the Montage database yet, but the ones we do have include a wide range of people from all over the county. The oral history tapes are mainly housed in the Chambers County Museum at Wallaceville in the original forms. If you have a chance to listen, I'd recommend listening to Evelyn Stanley or Josh Mays. While you're at it, Wallaceville has a long history from before we were a county to its distinction as the first county seat, and of course, as many know, the loss of its government position as a result of the Pig War. Look up courthouses and Wallaceville when you get a chance to learn more. Families, of course, make up so much of our history. Many residents know of the White family dynasty or Henry Griffith and his clan on the west side, but we have the Elys in Smith Point, the Barrows all over, and lots of lesser known early residents. The entry, Chambers County Families before 1900, has many names which you may recognize because their descendants are playing roles in our world today. Another special collection is the result of the first Historical Commission Director, Phila Mae Williams' work with the Daughters of the Republic of Texas. She was on the committee to approve applications and kept those applications in the Historical Commission files. In order to qualify, an applicant had to show their descent from a person resident in Texas prior to the Revolution. As a result, we have lineages for people who may not have lived in the county, but who have strong historical connections in the state. I think I'll leave you with just a little shiver of excitement. Type murder in the search box. Now there's a teaser for you, and you will find plenty of very interesting stories about villains and heroes from the past and the not so distant past in our county. I look forward to hearing from our library patrons near and far who take advantage of the wonderful resources from the files of our local historical collections and the Chambers County Library System, which makes it all possible. Thank you for your time. Happy searching.